Good morning, everybody. Assalamualaikum. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. So before we start, maybe just double check that you can hear the audio. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay. So I have muted everybody in the meantime. Later, at the end, I will unmute you so you can ask any questions if you have. Okay, since we have quite a number of people in the room this morning, it can be a bit noisy sometimes. If we have people unmuted. So if you have any questions during the presentation, feel free to type in the chat window, or you can save the question until the end, and by then you can be unmuted and you can ask those questions. Okay, is that fine? So again, one more time, thank you for spending your Friday morning. I hope everybody is doing good during this MCO. I know we are probably waiting to get out of the house and continue with our normal way of living after 2 weeks, now coming to 3 weeks locked up in the house. So I hope everybody is doing well. Your family also are doing good. So we only have one week plus to go before we can all escape. Hopefully, there will not be any extension to the MCO or to the PKP, and we can go back to our normal way of living. Okay, so this morning with me I have Jason, our technical expert for the thermal camera. So Jason will be doing the live demo to you shortly. But before that, let me just give a bit of introduction to this particular solution. I also believe that we have a few friends who are joining but a bit late. So we give them a bit of time also to see the demo by doing some product presentation first. Okay. Okay, so Dali. So Dali, as you know, nowadays a lot of companies are looking for thermal camera to scan for the temperature of the staff as they enter their factories or their offices. But before I go into the product itself, I just want to share a bit about what the experts are thinking in terms of what will happen in the next few months as we exit or leave this MCO. So this is actually from McKinsey and Company's report published about a week or so ago, where they actually predict 4 possible outcomes to businesses moving forward. So they actually named this prediction, or they separated it into 4 different possibilities: A1, A2, 3, and 4. Okay, so possible scenario number 1 is that we are going to have reoccurrences of this virus. Okay, so that's why in the chart here, the recovery chart here, you see that we recover a bit and then we drop, recover a bit, drop. Slowly we are making recovery. So the problem, as you know, with COVID-19 is that it's very easy to spread from one to another, right? So the infection is a big issue. As we try to flatten the infection curve, what we're going to see is that there's going to be reinfection moving forward. So this is good. This is why it's very important that after we finish the MCO, we actually have to change in terms of how we do businesses. For sure, you know, there's going to be social distancing even as we do our work. No more handshaking for considerable future, and we have to, of course, make sure that our premise is properly scanned for possible infected people. So we need to stop them from entering into our factories and entering into our offices. What we want to make sure does not happen is for our own business to become a new cluster. Okay, to become a new cluster. So it only takes one person to be infected to come into your office to spread it. And the worst case scenario is that your premise, you know, your factory, your office is totally locked down by the government because of an infection that's spreading in your premise. So even if you look at this is the syarat-syarat, the checklist, the requirement by MITI for factories that were allowed to be open during this MCO. So as you probably have heard, there are certain factories which were allowed to operate during this MCO, and these are, you know, under critical industry. But they were required to follow very strict rules. And these rules probably will also apply after the MCO. So one of the condition, point number 2 here, is that all the syarikat kena menyediakan alat saringan suhu badan. So I think this will be definitely the standard moving forward, not just for factories, but also for big offices. Again, the main idea is we don't want to have reinfection happening. Okay, so a bit about background about Dali as a company. So Dali is originally from China. They are founded in 1984. Originally, it is a government-owned company. So, you know, in China, they have a lot of such companies, right? So it started off as a testing institute in 1984. They actually specialize in infrared thermal detection and imaging. So unlike some of the other camera brands that you might have heard in the market, so even in China, there are a few top brands. Dali is different because they actually specialize only in thermal detection. So that's their bread and butter. Whereas a lot of the other brands that you see in the market, they are more into surveillance. So they do CCTV for security purposes. And then later they actually add thermal detection into their product line. So even in terms of the detector or the sensor, many of the other big companies, they actually they buy from other companies. Whereas Dali, they specialize in making these sensors. So they have products for military, the power grid companies, petrochemical, as well as the security industries. So they have R&D centers. HQ is in Hangzhou, and also they have R&D center in Shanghai. So this is one of their earlier products. In 1993, they released a thermal TV, the so-called thermal TV. So this is similar to, you know, the kind of technology that we want to be showing to you today. So they are a public listed company. Okay, they are a public listed company listed on Shenzhen Stock Exchange in 2008. And talking about stock price, you know, if any of you went and buy their stock in January, you'll be laughing now because the stock price is double since January and early February. So you know, I wish I knew that and bought their shares earlier. Okay, So in terms of the products that we carry here in Malaysia, we actually carrying two models. They obviously have quite a number of models, but we are focusing on two models for the human thermal scanning. So the first one is the TEW300. So this is a portable version, smaller and lower in price. And the second one is the DM60W. So the DM60 is more like the one that you see at KLIA, where it's able to scan 30 people one time, right? We'll be doing demonstration for both of these units later. So let's have a look at the first model, the 60, okay, the TE60. So the TE60, as you can see in the picture here, is used more for single line queue. So it's very suitable for offices, right? So you can funnel all the people that's trying to enter into your premise into a single queue like this, okay? Because this particular device, it has a smaller area of scan. So like, for example, in this queue, we can scan this particular area, for example. So since everybody have to go through that area, we can automatically scan those people, right? So it's suitable, as I mentioned, for single passage. We will scan one person at a time. And normally this is for indoor areas. So this is basically the characteristic of the device, of the TE300. And basically it actually comes on a tripod. Okay, so you can put it on a tripod, so you don't have to hold it, you know. Works within the range of 2 to 3 meters. It has accuracy of 0.6 degrees. So it comes with a LCD monitor, small one here. But normally, what we do is we would actually connect it to a screen like this. So this device can be connected directly to either a TV or a monitor, computer monitor. So it also has a feature of an alarm, right? So whenever there's somebody that is detected to be having a fever, then an alarm will be taken. And we can also automatically record a photo, okay, of the person and save it to an SD card. So this is useful for reporting purpose. It also comes with a battery, or you can connect it to a main power supply. So in terms of where normally we use it, so as I mentioned to you, this is typically for small passage. So for queues, one person at a time. Yeah. So it's suitable for offices. So most of the customers who buy the Dali in Malaysia are actually buying this particular model. So this is a typical setup of the TE300. So what you get is the camera, handheld camera. It comes with a tripod, so you don't have to buy a separate tripod, right? So you connect all of this to a power source, and then you can connect to a monitor to make it easier for your security person, your safety person to see, right? Okay, now the second unit, okay, the second unit is the DM60. So the DM60 is a much bigger unit. Normally what we do is either we put it on a wall, or we put it on a ceiling, or you can mount it on a tripod. Okay, mount it on a tripod like what you see at KLIA. So this device obviously has much bigger range, so it can go up to 10 meters in terms of the scanning. And it also has a much higher accuracy, 0.3 degree of Celsius. So it is able to achieve this higher degree of accuracy because it works with a external black body. Okay, and one of the difference between Dali and our other competitor is that we achieve this high level of accuracy not using any kind of software manipulation. It's actually coming directly from the sensor. Because as you recall just now, Dali actually, their specialty is developing a thermal sensor. So they have best in market sensor, so they don't need to use technology from software to do manipulation to get this level of accuracy. Okay, the difference between this model and the smaller one just now is that this one also required to have a PC to operate. Okay, so you need to have a PC. Later I show to you the normal setup. You need to have a PC where you install the software. As before, it has an alarm. So if it detects somebody that is has a fever, it will alarm it just in case if your security guard is not concentrating and paying attention. It also can record the video and store the photo on the PC automatically. So in terms of where we use it, yeah, normally we use it for transportation area. So like a station, train station, bus station, airports. Also suitable when you have multiple queue. So if let's say, for example, you have entrance to a big building where you have 4 or 5 lane coming in, then this is much more suitable. Okay. So suitable both for indoor as well as outdoor, and mainly for high volume of human traffic. Shopping centers, for example, is also another suitable usage of this particular model. Okay, this is a typical setup of the DM60. Okay, so this is actually at an airport in China. So you have the camera here, the DM60 camera, and then over here, if you notice, is the black box. And of course, you have a PC, right? So the camera is connected to the PC, the black box, you put it slightly further out. So what exactly, oh, by the way, one PC can host up to 5 of this DM60 camera. So if you put multiple of these big cameras, you can connect it and control it from a single PC. So basically, what is the purpose of this black box? Okay, so unlike the smaller model, this DM60, the big camera, it uses the black box to make it more accurate. So on the left here, you have the software that's running on the PC. So as you notice, this is a normal video or normal picture. On the right is the infrared view. So yeah, as you can see, automatically it assigns the temperature for each of the person that it detected. So the Dali cameras, they have a facial detection feature, right? So here you can see the black box. So in the infrared version or the infrared view, you can see that the black box, right, it actually has a heat in there. So this black box is always set to 37 degrees. So it actually acts as a point of reference for the camera. So that's how it becomes more accurate. So it knows that this particular color is 37 degrees. So then it is able to then do calculation for the rest of the people that walk through. Okay. So that's basically how the technology works, or rather that's the 2 models that we carry. Now I'm going to pass to Jason so that he can show you a live demo of how this actually works. Okay, so Jason, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, so
Yeah,
obviously in our own homes, separate.
yeah, so good morning, everybody. So I'm going to go for the demo. Let me switch over the camera. So this is how it looks like. This is the TEW300 with the tripod. And there's two connections here, as you can see. On the bottom one is the power adapter. On the upper one is actually the cable goes out to the video output, where we connected with the video converter here and goes to the monitor. All right. You can also connect. There's also a output for audio. You can connect to external speaker. So for the louder buzzer. So this is how it looks like. So for this model, as Elias mentioned just now, is suitable for indoor, I would say, because this guy has no AI functions, which means whatever detected on the screen, it will scan wherever is the highest temperature point. So regardless it's a human or it's a bottle of water or it could be a roadside, something else. So just like yesterday, what we deploy in one customer in Malacca, so where we are pointing at the guardhouse, the entrance, the staff where they punch in their cards, and apparently on the background is actually the roadside. So if in this condition, the camera might have scanned on the road because the road is actually having the higher temperature. So there's a few ways to eliminate it. The best way is to cover the background so that there's no other heat conductive objects behind the person. So let me go through some important settings. So there are a few modes of scanning for TEW300. The first one is that, like what I mentioned. Sorry, let me clear the previous. Let me clear the previous setting. So this is where you enter the scanning mode. The first one is to set it to scan wherever is the highest point temperature detected on the screen. All right, so let's say if I move in front of the camera. Can you see the reading? It's 36.2.3. Okay. So as Elias mentioned, this model accuracy is plus minus 0.6. Hello? And the range, the target range is within 2 to 5 meters. Okay, so this is the first mode where you scan the highest point in the screen. The second option, where we use to eliminate some
Jason, I think we having voice disturbance because of two sources, right? You have your phone and also your PC on Zoom.
okay. Let me stop the one PC.
Yeah, guys, Jason actually need to have two because we need to show what's on the PC later for the bigger model, and also he needs the phone on Zoom also to show the thing around.
Yep. So let me continue. Just now we will hear the first mode. So normally we will use the third mode, which is set the region. As you can see, there's a small box within the screen where you can move around by up and down, left and right. So what it does is that once we enable this, the camera will actually only scan the highest temperature within the region. So whatever is outside of the region, it won't detect, it won't read at all. So maximum, we can add up to 3 regions. But the size of the region, we can't change it, it's fixed. So which means that there's still chances that even though with the region, there are still some other heat conductive object which fall under the region. Right. So you can set multiple regions. So how does it let me show you what happened when it triggers. Let me get the lighter first. So we have set here the alarming point, alarm setting, triggering point is 37.5. So as and when it detected temperature, which is above this one, what it does, it captures the video. You can switch it to record a video, but you can't have both at once. You can only choose either one. So bear in mind that if you normally we use the capture photo, so it depends on what screen you are at on the handheld device now. Now we are on the thermal view. So when it trigger 37.5 above, it will actually capture the screen of this thermal view. So if you want to identify who is that person has been triggered, we can use this button to switch it over to visual view. So when it take photo, you will actually take the photo of this visual view. Okay, let me switch back to the thermal view. So this is what's going to happen when, as and when, sorry, I haven't set the mood yet. So let me go back to the mood. Right. Can you hear the sound?
Yep.
Yeah. So this is what's going to happen. So if you want to play back the photo that has been recorded, go into the menu, files, and look for the date of the folder, and scroll. The latest one is always on the bottom, as you can see. So you can even add a note on this particular folder. Maybe you want to add like who is he, what is his name, and so on. Okay, so all
And
this data.
Jason, we can choose whether we want to take an infrared copy of the photo or normal photo, right?
It has to depend on what screen you are looking at on this 3.5-inch LCD. So if you are looking at the thermal view, it will take the photo on the thermal view. Okay. Right? So if you are looking at this visual view, it will take the photo of the visual view.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. You see that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have to choose either one. So all the data will be stored on an SD card, which is removable. It's just right here. Okay. So you can put it to a computer and extract the photo. So just bear in mind that although this camera, you can set region like just what I show you guys, you maximum can set up to 3 regions. So assuming all 3 regions is sitting side by side, technically you can scan 3 lane of passages. But honestly, we don't recommend it because the image will be small to fit in 3 persons, and the reading could be difficult and may not be accurate. Okay, so this is on the screen side. So for measurement, this guy has a built-in temperature scanner. Okay, you will detect the environment temperature by itself. And we have set it to be every 30 seconds to do an auto calibration. So this is very important because the environment temperature range detected by the camera could be different from time to time. So it's best to have more interval to do the auto calibration. This is where you determine how many seconds you want to perform the calibration. So we can also trigger the manual calibration by pressing A, long press. And then you will see the icon on the top left corner, there's a circle thing going on. So whenever the calibration is taking place, the camera will need about 1 to 2 seconds, just like you have seen. So within this 1 to 2 seconds, you will look at the screen, is considered like hang. All right. So don't be surprised by that. Okay. So normally, how we set up this model is that before we actually let it go live, we will get one of the staff to use the thermometer to scan his forehead and get the reading. So assuming that the reading is 36.8, and the next thing that we ask him to stand in front of the camera within the 2 to 5 meters range, and we'll see the reading from the camera. So let's say the camera reached 36.2, which means that we have a gap of 0.6. So we can use the manual adjustment, which is here, under measure, adjustment, and T correct. This is where you add in the temperature so that you can fine tune it to be better accurate. So as we all know, this model is plus minus 0.6. So by default, it has been actually plus 0.6. So like what we have shown just now, that when I stand in front of the camera, it's actually getting me reading 36 point something. Yep, so this is how it looks like. So this camera is definitely suitable for small passage. So some customers, you may have larger entrance, but so long they're willing to barricade it to one lane. So when I say one lane, it doesn't mean that it has to be like the target need to stay there for a few seconds stationary for you to scan. The scanning took place, you just need 0.5 seconds per person. So it means that just don't run in front of the camera, then you should be able to detect. And now it's detecting my phone. So it's detecting my temperature now, 36.8, 36.9. So if I raise up my phone, see now it's detecting my phone. Can you guys see that? So my phone is about 45 degrees. I believe that it's because they'll be using the zoom thing. So this is how it looks like. This camera is tested for 2-meter drop test. It's built for rugged. So you can also detach it to use it on handheld-based operation. So in front of it, as you can see, on the bottom part, this is actually a laser pointer. So we can set the triggering button function, this trigger here, to enable the laser. This is for operation, which is, for example, like the policeman, they want to scan the forehead of the driver. So you may use this function to point at the forehead and do the scanning. The battery can last for 3 to 4 hours fully charged, and basically it's meant to run 24 hours.
And the warranty is 1 year, isn't it?
Yeah, the warranty is 1 year. And talk about the application, just bear in mind that if you want a customer inquiry, you need to get their expectation to be correct. Because like I mentioned earlier, yesterday, the one that we deploy, the customers, the location of the customers, the background is actually outdoor and the roadside. So if there's a car pass by, definitely the car temperature is going to be higher than the human. So we explain the customer understand that they put a curtain behind the target. So that solves all the problem. So if your customer is an indoor kind of usage, inside the building, commercial building, then you have no issue at all. For example, if you point it at a lobby site, lobby entrance, so when the glass door is closed, should be okay. But as soon as the glass door is open and the camera is exposed to external sunlight or roadside or whatever heat conductive object is there, you might have an issue. So this is the limitation of this TEW300. But bear in mind that this is not the limitation applies to Dali. For all handheld thermal cameras, they all have this limitation because there are no AI functions built in to determine whether there's a human or not. So I think basically, yeah, that's about it. So should we move on to the next DM60?
Yep, I think we can.
Okay, let me connect this. Before it ends, perhaps I can use this camera to show you the DM60. So this is how it looks like. Look at the size of the camera. Okay, it can also be mounted on a tripod. There's a bracket, there's an adapter here on the top of the camera, which you can mount it on the ceiling pole. And this will be the external black body. This is the circle thing that Elias showed in the presentation area, that this guy is dissipating 37 Celsius of heat consistently. So as we can see on the rear side, this is what we have been setting. It's 37 consistently. All right. So now allow me to disconnect here and connect to my laptop and share my screen over. Let me connect first. The Zoom is updating. Sorry, guys. Just give me a minute. While waiting for that, let's see the connection. So this guy, you only need one network cable, connects to your switch or directly to the laptop. And another one, which is the power source. That's all we need. Let me see the Zoom, is it ready?
Okay, maybe while Jason updates his Zoom plugin, I will unmute everybody, and I mean, I will give you permission to unmute yourself. So if you have any questions, maybe you can ask your questions first.
Elias,
Yes, yo.
would this thing work behind the glass door? You know, my office, we have a glass door, right? So we have a visitors. So if I put this thing inside the office and the visitor is outside with a barrier of a glass in between.
Should I answer that, Elias?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, it can't work behind a glass. Regardless, even the glass is fully transparent, there's some reflective elements on the glass that would disrupt the emission reading return from the resistance from the target. So you can't use behind a glass. Even though it's the higher end model, also you can't work with a glass in between them.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So Kain, you have to allow them to come into your office first before you can scan them. So you plan to reject them even before opening the door? Huh?
Stop the problem before it enters.
Okay, but before we move on to the DM60 live demo, where I'm going to share you my screen on the software part, any questions on the TW300, or shall we move on?
Okay, looks like no question at the moment, Jason.
All right,
Can
so I'll
proceed
share
first.
my screen. Hi, everybody. Can you see the screen?
Yep, can see the screen.
Okay, so this is the software of the DM60. On the top left corner, this is the thermal view. On the top right corner, this is the visual view. The blue color regional box that you're seeing on the top right visual view is the one that I've drawn out so that I can remove the black body from being scanned for the facial detection. You can draw the region flexible, you can draw whichever type of shapes that you want. So on the bottom side, again, bottom left is the infrared history. If there's any triggered alarm, it is immediately shown here. On the bottom right, this will be the visual view of detected high fever personnel. Okay. So let's go through, let me walk in front of the camera and show you all. Just give me a minute. Hi guys, did you see the reading just now?
Yeah, we saw the facial detection.
Yes, so you notice that as soon as I walk in, the camera is able to detect and put a red color box on my face. That is how the facial detection works. Because we don't want them to scan, unlike the TW300, DM60 has this little bit of AI function to assist it. Because sometimes they could have been holding a bottle of warm water, which is apparently above 40 degree, sorry, 37.5 degree. So we want to avoid those false alarm. So that's why we put in the facial detection in. But it doesn't mean that we are tweaking any measurement reading. We are just using the face detection. Unlike others, we are not tweaking the results by using software. The temperature they have seen just now is pure reading from the thermal sensor by itself. So let's go in. For DM60, actually the setup is even more easy, simpler than the TEW300 because there's not such of a limitation like the TEW300. So let me show you the device manager. This is where you add in the device. So each camera has actually 2 IP addresses. It's actually 2 cameras sitting inside the box that I've shown you just now. One is the thermal camera, another one is the visual camera. So one PC, you can host up to 5 DM60s. System configurations. So as you can see here, there's only 6 sub-menus. The first one is for you to change the color palettes. It depends on what type you want. Now we are using type 4. You can change it to type 7, as you can see, whichever you feel is suitable for you. And on the bottom side is where you want to fine tune whatever brightness, contrast on the visual view camera. So if there's some places which is a part of the image is having some exposure to light and another part which is not, you may need to enable WDR, wide dynamic range. So it will fine tune by itself. So next we go to temperature correction. This is one of the special function that Dali has because across all the years of their thermal manufacturing, so they have all the data to do the fine tuning. So some of us may know that actually reading human body temperature, the most accurate parts of the body to be read is actually on the forehead and also the armpit. All right. So as you can see on the bottom here, we have armpit temperature compensation or armpit on body surface. That has the algorithm to fine tune. So that's how we get the better accuracy. Okay, position calibration. So let me, because the camera is actually, I didn't show you the front part of it just now. Basically, the thermal camera is sitting on the left, the visual camera is sitting on the right. Being said, so 2 cameras view is not totally 100% in a line. So this is where we teach the camera to know each other. So we need to set a point here on the top left, the yellow color here, and one part of the green color on the bottom right-hand side, and you matches with the visual camera. As you notice, the thermal camera, the view, and the visual camera view is not aligned. This is what I meant. Look at the thermal camera side. The black body is actually on the touching on the baseline on the left. Where you look at the visual camera, the black body is actually a little bit further from the left. So this is where we let both cameras to know each other how they should align by themselves. Pretty easy, just 2 points. Black body. So this is where we let the camera to learn that where is our black body. So the black body will always consistently dissipating 37 Celsius degree as a reference point for him to get the accuracy reading. And next, alarm configurations. So basically, all this setting has been preset. So the first thing, we enable the alarm, overlay face information on infrared video, and alarm type is high temperature alarm. And when the triggering points, normally we set 37.5. And if you notice, maximum, it can go up to 40 degree. Okay, because this solution is meant specially for human body. So whoever has 40 degree above, we would not consider is a person anymore. I mean, it shouldn't be standing and walking anyway. You should be lying on the bed already. Okay, so that's why the system is only maximum can go up to 40 degree. And last but not least, the advanced configuration. This is where you configure the path, where you want to store the alarm picture, and where's the sound. You can customize your own sound. You can speak something and record it to a WAV file and apply it here. So on the history tab, this is where we play back the video, or play back the photo. those triggered alarm. This is what I've tested yesterday night. So 37.5 is the triggering point, and you can switch it to thermal view as well. But normally, for evidence or playback, you need visual view rather than the thermal view, so that you can identify who is that particular person. So basically, as you can see, it's very simple to set up. Basically, most of the thing has been preset. The only thing that you need to touch is to align position for the camera and thermal camera, and also let her know that where is the black body. Basically, that's it. So this is how the DM60 works. So, I mean, just a little bit of hints that nowadays in the markets, there are a lot of people trying to sell thermal cameras. But most of the customers doesn't understand that most of the thermal cameras, even though by some prominent brand like Fluke or Fleur, most of them are for industrial use. So it's meant to scan gas pipeline, power grid, electricity, water pipe, and so on, but not for human body. The reason being is that the thermal cameras for industrial use, the range that they can scan is too wide. Normally, it starts with negative 20 degrees Celsius up to 400 or 600 Celsius of degree. So with this kind of range, the noise of the image of the thermal sensor is very high, and the reading will not be accurate. Some is plus minus 2 degrees, some is even can go up to plus minus 5 degrees. So this kind of accuracy you want to apply on human fever detection is nonsense. Okay. And we also come across some cases, I don't want to mention any brand here, which they have hidden, they let you know the brand, but they didn't disclose on the technical specification of the thermal sensors. And they try to claim it is for human body fever scanning. Just be aware of that. Drill to the depth that what is the thermal sensor, is it? Ask for the specification. And as soon as you look at the thermal range, which is negative something up to few hundreds, you can totally forget about it. Don't go for it. They're just trying to sell whatever off their hand. So any questions on the DM60? I'm sorry to show you just one person walking by. I only have me, myself, my daughter and wife, so I can't show you. But this camera, it can scan like 20, 30 persons at one time. There's no problem for it. I think on the slides just now we have shown there's a sample photo for it. So everybody temperature will be covered.
Okay. So, yeah. You can unmute yourself first of all if you want to ask any questions, or if you are a bit more shy, you can type in the chat window. Okay, Shirley.
I got one question.
Yeah. Yes, Kevin.
If the person is wearing mask and a cap, the face detection, how accurate is it?
As long as his forehead is exposed, then we can read.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So normally the temperature, the highest point for the body, human body, is on the forehead or armpit. But we can't expect them to raise up the hand and show you the armpit. So, yeah. Even though with a cap, so long the forehead is exposed, then we can scan that.
If you're coming, let's say in Malaysia, it's always hot weather. So I believe that our temperature sometimes is very hot. So that accuracy, is it still okay?
Well, like I said, because it has the external black body as a reference point, because the black body will be consistently at dissipating 37 Celsius degree of heat. So the cameras knows it, and as and when it reads the person passing by, it actually will compare with the black body and compensate whatever reading it is, and then they give you the result.
Also, I will add to that, Jason. Most of the companies out there, they will have their own SOP, whereby if, let's say, a staff, like for example, you talk about in a factory environment, right? So you have a lot of staff coming in the morning, in the afternoon, depending on the shift. So if somebody is detected to have fever, they will then be further verified by a thermometer. And if the thermometer confirms that they are over the temperature limit, they will be told to sit down, right? Just for 5-10 minutes to cool down before they check again. Yeah. So normally that's what most of the companies are doing.
Yep.
Okay. Next question.
Thank you.
Okay, so looks like we don't have any more questions by the look of it. But if you do think of additional questions you'd like to ask later, feel free to shoot an email to me or WhatsApp to me. I've just text my email address and my mobile number in the chat window. So if you think of any questions, yeah, feel free to message me. Okay, so final call. No questions. So Jason, thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Help with the demo, and thank you all of you for joining us this morning. We will make available a recording of this demo. This will be shared to you via email later. So thank you everyone, and be safe. Oh, okay, we have some questions. Share the problem of face.
Problem face.
I don't quite understand that, Michael. Maybe you can rephrase the question in another way.
Yeah, I mean, normally we hear all the good point of this usage, but what about the disadvantage, the problem that I believe that you are facing previously on customers' environment?
Oh, okay. So if we talk about, I think if it's a problem, I wouldn't say it's a problem. I would say it's more on limitations. So that applies mainly on the TEW300, which is the smaller unit, because like I said, it's not intelligent as the DM60. It will scan wherever is the highest temperature within the screen or the region. So for that particular reason, we always recommend customer, if possible, we deploy on indoor, totally indoor, so they won't affect by, it won't affect by roadside or cars passing by that could trigger the false alarm. So in another way, for DM60, because it has the face detection, so it eliminates this problem. We only scan human. You won't scan even if, let's say, you are carrying a bottle of milk, which is warm, it won't scan over the bottle. It will scan on your face only. So with this function, it actually eliminates a lot of limitations and problem for us. The only thing is that DM60 is not IP rating like 66 or 65. So same thing, it should be placed in indoor. But like for the example that I told just now, if let's say we're going to place in a main lobby whereby the glass door is automated and open when people passing by. So as soon as the glass door open, the image is exposed to the heat and roadside and whatsoever. So if DM60, you wouldn't have any issue on the reading because it only detects the face. But if it comes to TEW300, you may have to think about repositioning it, or you have to barricade to be one passage for better screening.
Oh, hi, I got a question. Sorry. Can I go ahead?
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. I'm actually looking more on, because we do events. So our clients are more on event organizers. So for them, I think that would be the TEW300 would maybe better. Reason being is because the events are only just 1 day or 2 days. So we're not going to mount anything. So it's more on, we're just going to use it for 1 day and then we're just going to remove it. So would there be any challenge, because most of the events are indoor? Do you think that will be a challenge for us to use the TEW300, or is it okay?
If it's totally indoor, like exhibition hall, then we definitely have no problem.
Okay.
But being said, I mean, DM60, as I shown just now, it actually can work on tripod as well. So it's not necessary to be fixed mounted. So it works on the tripod.
Okay, yeah, so I can, meaning I can actually give them an option, right?
Sorry?
Sorry, I can give them an option. Say, for example, if it's an exhibition, so then you're looking at more than 1,000 packs or 2,000 packs, which definitely the DM60 would work better.
Exactly.
And if it's for, just say if it's less than 100 or 100 packs, or I don't know, maybe 50 packs or 100 packs, then I would say the TEW 300 would be better.
Yes, you can say
Correct.
so. Well, I would say that pretty much depends. One more condition, which is if your participants is VIP kind of customers.
Mm-hmm.
So and you're asking if you request them to queue up in the line,
Mhm.
that is subject to whether how you look at it.
Yeah, because I wanted to thinking is more on like they have to go through this one first before they can actually collect their badges and all that. So there will be queues, you know, happening. And as you have mentioned that the DM60, 60 is actually, you can actually scan 15 to 16 people at one go, right? Or is it one?
Yes. No, for the DM60, you can scan up to like 30 over persons at a time.
Ah, okay, that's fine. Okay, all right, thank you.
Right. Welcome.
Okay, any other questions?
Sorry, one more question.
Yeah.
Okay,
Go
one more
ahead.
question. This, yeah, it's going to be plug and play, or do we need to, like just now you're showing us a demo and all that, so but you can also help us to get everything. Is that more like plug and play, or do we need to really configure it by ourselves first? Or depending on
Well, okay. There's not much of configurations.
okay.
Well, the first thing for TEW 300, the first thing you
Mhm.
need to do is, of course, mounting the tripod and external monitor and so on. That is pretty straightforward. And the second thing, which is to fine-tune the focus, which is just like a round thing in front of the camera where you turn left and right to get the clearest possible image. And basically, that's it.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
All
If
right,
it's
thanks.
totally indoor, then that's it. If it's like semi-outdoor, then we might have to fine-tune the reading. We do the correction.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's indoor, then it will be much easier for us to just do it
Yes.
ourselves, right? Yeah.
Exactly. Because indoor, the temperature wouldn't change by such too much of changes. So we don't have to do the correction to make it better.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, so if not, once again, thank you very much for spending your Friday morning with us this morning. Feel free to contact us at my email address or my mobile number if you have any questions. And yeah, stay safe. Oops, sorry, got one more question.
Yep.
Yeah, Chua, you can speak.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, can.
Okay. This is just a general question. Are this monitoring of temperature is made mandatory by, let's say, some regulation, or basically on the what you call voluntary basis? Are there any instruction or anything like that for company or whatever to make it mandatory? Do you all know anything about that?
I think Elias, you can share back the screen just now.
Oh,
Yeah, I think yeah, at the beginning of the presentation.
I joined in a bit late. Sorry
It's
about
okay.
that.
Okay, no problem. So basically, at the moment, for those factories which are operating during the MCO, they have received the approval or the permission from the MITI, under MITI. Yes, they are required to do temperature scanning.
It's mandatory for them, is it?
Yes, it's mandatory. So there's
Well,
10.
let me add a little bit, because as you can see on the screen, the clause saying that you need to have screening solution to be in place at your premise. But the thing is, it doesn't mention that how you're going to achieve that. So some customers, they use the thermometer, but imagine if you have few hundred staff, how you cannot afford to scan one by one. That's going to delay their work time. And at the same time, you're exposing the one who holding the thermometer to run the test is having close contact with everybody else. So that is why we come in to do the camera, so that it eliminates all this and reduce the time for you to do the screening for every single staff. Okay.
and you have record as well.
Yeah, so I would say this particular requirement will be required even beyond this MCO period. Am I right to say that? Or if it's just within the MCO period that is more critical?
I think there is no official regulation that is being set forward at the moment. We don't know yet. Maybe after the MCO ends or when we are closer towards ending the MCO, the government will announce something. But in my own opinion, I think this is definitely something which needs to be done because the worry right now is actually on the virus recurrences. So many companies, many countries, in fact, are taking plans to handle this. So even in China, which is the only country that have recovered from this, they are taking precaution to safeguard from recurrences. So basically, what probably will happen is that we're going to see new clusters of infection. So I don't know for sure in terms of the government plans at the moment, but my guesses is that even if the government don't enforce it, many companies, they want to protect themselves from being new cluster points, which may result in their premise or their factory to be forced lockdown.
Okay. So I believe this particular requirement will actually be required even beyond this particular MCO period for some time to come.
Yeah, because this COVID-19 is not going to end just after we come out of the MCO. It's going to be with us for at least a good 1 year, I think. That's what
just to share with a little bit, even like Hangzhou, until today, all the hotels and eateries, before you goes in, they will still taking your temperature, and they have an app which is everybody will be assigned a QR code to track where you have been to. So it's up to that drastic measure, even though they are open now. So we don't see that this requirement will be not relevant in the near future.
Okay. So because I'm not sure, Elias, later you will be able to send us some pricing information for implementation, because I need to go through that and then try to map it against the client list that I have, and then see what sort of proposal I can offer to them in terms of implementation. So I believe all these things will only happen after the MCO, since we can't even move around.
That depends, because if let's say the customer which is already got approval from MITI to operate, so how it works is that they will send us the MITI approval letter to their company, and attached together with the letter with their company letterhead to authorize Internet Now us to move.
Yeah, we have been doing installation towards this MCO, Chua, just for your information.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's good. So you will have the necessary people to move around to make to install in case they are in operation. I believe if they are required to operate, then they'll probably need some form of measure.
Yes, definitely.
Okay. Okay, noted on that point. Elias, you will send us the pricing for consideration, and then how the structure of the end user pricing that's more relevant,
Sure.
When we start speaking to them, I think the first thing they want to know is actually what are the level of pricing they're talking about.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay, that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chua.
Yeah.
Okay, we try one more time. Any more questions before we wrap up? Okay, I think that's it. So once again, thank you very much for joining us this morning. Hope you guys stay safe and take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you.